Pride Athletics and Physical Therapy. Today we're talking a little bit about men's health, seeing as it's June, and also exercise and things like that. Obviously, physical exercise, mental exercise for that matter too, plays hugely into men's health as well as men's mental health. How do you find that like exercise and athletic endeavors kind of play into those?
It's who we are, you know. A lot of times we as little boys like to put things together and to deconstruct things.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, when men especially are in the weight room and training and working out, just the piecing together of a weight bar with weight on it, it's something that's stimulating to them. Picking up something heavy, it's something that's mentally stimulating because not that women don't like to work, but we like to work physically.
Yeah.
I think most ladies are going to find out the most efficient and smartest way to do something. We tend to choose the hard path.
Brute force it a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then through that, it's kind of we build our efficacy of work, and we look back and go, wow, look what I built, you know. So, but when it comes to the world as it's changing with automation, AI, there are less and less areas that men can truly fulfill that inner drive to work, to lift things up, to move things. You know, a lot of cubicle work isn't fulfilling physically to the male mind. And then when you look even educationally with young kids, you know, girls generally do better in attention in classes when, you know, first, second, third grade, and little boys will get diagnosed with ADHD, you know. But the reality is, you know, little boys need to move, and that onset of testosterone starts to stimulate the brain in different ways than it does in young ladies. So it's very integral to our mental health to be able to physically move something, physically build things, engage, and dropping a big load of weight is always good too.
Deadlifting and then
and dropping it,
have you read Richard Reeve's book, Boys and Men? I'd strongly recommend that just based on what I'm hearing from you. He talks a lot about the educational process and kind of the future and direction of boys and men and through that process. Because if you look at graduation rates in colleges, it's about 2 to 1 female to male.
Oh, wow.
And so that can create a significantly different structure in our society. It has over the past 40, 50 years. And so, you know, ways that we can reignite an interest of men back into education and into higher learning. And I thought that was a fantastic, you know, book for that. So I strongly recommend that. The other thing I was going to say is when you walk into the gym, you have your strategy. You know, like you're putting a plan together, you execute the plan, and then you recognize that you execute the plan. Exactly what you were talking about with cubicle work. A lot of it is just constant flow of the same stuff over and over. And it's like, okay, I just know that I have to run through these processes, but I know these processes will be here tomorrow doing the exact same thing. And it seems like kind of this never-ending stream. You never get that celebration at the end where it's like, I set out to do something, I accomplished it, and now I'm done with it, and I can celebrate that. You know?
And the cool thing too is like in like that strength training, it's self-care.
Yes.
But the project is yourself.
100%.
You know, and you get to work on yourself. And I think, you know, there are not too many corners where men can really, you know, get to a space and really work on self-development. But then it leads to efficiency, right? I can be a better father. You know, on outsets of it, it's just like I can wrestle and have better stamina and things like that. But ingrained in the detail is my ability to be more efficient at anything else that I do, so I can be there for my family. I'm not exhausted when I come home. I can then fully engage, you know, spouse, kids, hobbies, because I'm a better version of myself.
The physical, but also the mental resiliency that it builds.
Yeah.
And so, like, exactly what you're talking about, as we come back, end of the day, it's exhausting. You know, like going to work and things of that nature. If I hit the gym a little bit, even just going for a walk at lunch, 45 minutes around a neighborhood or something like that, it reinvigorates me for the rest of the day. In a sense that like sitting on my butt doing nothing, even though I'm eating lunch, you know, it's like, you know, I'm getting rest from work, but like it's really not active rest. And I think that kind of activeness is what a lot of people end up missing out, and you know, they just can't re-engage the same way. The other thing is just the fact of doing something difficult, recognizing you accomplished that difficult thing, and then again, you know, because at work, in the gym, and at home. You're going to hit those different things that are going to appear difficult, and you have to say, got to make a plan, got to execute the plan, and then we complete the plan.
Yeah, and I think men find their genius in adversity.
I agree.
You know, because again, going back to that childhood space, is that we want to figure things out and how things function, how things work. And if you're in a process like you alluded to earlier, and you're just fulfilling, you know, you're a cog in the wheel, there's not much to your genius, right? But if you're pressed up against a rock and a hard space, you know, a lot of guys go, okay, I got to figure this out. Well, why? Because when you go home, generally, you know, you can't go home and go, oh my God, I don't know what we're going to do. You know, you got to figure things out and come up with, it might not be the best plan, but come home with a plan, you know, so that, you know, together you and your spouse figure things out.
You can modify it on
the fly as you go. So, but I really love that adversity piece. Is it teaches us more about us and how we can overcome, you know, just challenges in our lives. And I think the gym is a symbolism of that. It's like the most humbling place, you know, where you have to be honest with yourself.
Yes.
You know, how much you can lift and where you're going to start out and how, you know, how to really chart your growth, you know, based on humility and honesty. And then it's a good solid place to really just develop those abilities to just expound on who we are.
I was going to build off what you were just talking about. Going to the gym, it builds consistency as opposed to the heroic effort. A lot of people focus on the heroic effort, and so and I see this all the time in my line of work. You know, okay, we have a disc herniation, we have a cardiac issue. This is an emergency. We need a heroic effort in order to overcome this adversity.
100%.
However, if we had been consistent all along, going to the gym, diet, you know, cardio, we would not be in that situation because, and again, you know, it's like taking out an insurance policy. I'm hoping I'll never need to use that insurance policy. But you know, it's like, but I, you know, like I'm investing in it consistently so that it's there when I need it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that's a good way to really look at it too. It's like, you know, you investing in your health is the best insurance policy you can have.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think a lot of times, you know, when you have the responsibility of taking care of a family, you think, well, if something happens to me, you know, how does my family fare? You know, another part of men's health, and, you know, because you're always thinking about your own mortality and how it affects your family, to the point where you'd be like, you know, it would suck if I died. You know,
it's not for me. But what would happen to these other people?
Yeah, but then the next is like, well, what happens then? You know what I mean? Where it's just like, no, it just sucks that you're dead. No. But yeah, so in our planning, as we look at, you know, posthumously taking care of our family and things like that, I think that the proactive sense, if we can be allowed to go, you know what, if I can just take care of me. And I think most amazing thing I've ever heard is the old proverbial saying, hey, you take care of me and I'll take care of you. But if we could dial it back and say, you know what, I'm going to take care of me for you. And then you take care of you for me. And then together, you know, we'll be good, you know. And I think when you think about it that way, you can then allow yourself to take that quiet space and know that, you know what, I am not taking care of me for myself. I'm taking care of me for my family. And then maybe we don't get to those life insurance policies.
Hopefully. No, absolutely. And you know, and I see this again with a lot of caretakers. And I'm sure you see this with caretakers. You do a lot with, you know, people coming in, and you have a phenomenal program. I sent a number of patients over and things like that. And I'm just really excited about when they come back to me and say, we did this, and this. And I always find that fantastic, and especially at helping those people kind of grow and learn, and hopefully, you know, like develop themselves and develop kind of a love and interest of, and again, taking care of themselves. But a lot of caretakers, they invest so much of themselves into who they're taking care of, and they never take a step back and they say, I can't, you know, give from an empty cup. You know, it's like, I can't, you know, like, and so I have to refill what's in me. I have to take care of me, so that way I can spread that to other people. I can spread that at work. I can spread that in church. I can spread that wherever my community is. You know, it's like, and so I 100% agree.
And the greatest project that you'll ever work on is you. And people really forget that, and we get distracted by, you know, all the things that are secondary to our health, and men really forget that. You know, if something happens to you, the job goes on, right? Unfortunately, if something happens to you, she might get remarried, she might not. You know? If something happens to you, your kids eventually grow up and they take care of themselves.
But hopefully you've set that example.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right. Right. But the reality is, if you don't take care of yourself, you'll never see those things through.
Yes.
Right? So much of what we do is dependent on our health, but we take that and we put it on the back burner, and the driver of everything becomes a secondary, priority to those things that we're actually facilitating.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, if men are watching this and are really thinking of it, if we can provoke that thought and say, hey, everything depends on you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you depend on your quality of health. What are you investing in you?
Yes.
And then going back to that thing, the greatest project you ever work on is you, not the 10 other things you were responsible for.
How are you building yourself?
Yeah.
And again, a lot of times it's that 1% of that Kaizen mentality where it's like, I improve myself, every single day. You're familiar with Michelangelo's sculptures and things like that. Do you ever hear about how he talked about the way the sculptures present themselves to him? He described them as the sculpture is already in the stone. It's waiting to be revealed.
Okay.
What do we need to take away from this picture to reveal the sculpture, in its perfection?
Yeah.
And so, I sometimes think about that, just kind of like chiseling away the things that I can get rid of and the things that I can add to make, a better picture of myself for myself, but also for my family and my community.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good tattoo quote.
Good tattoo quote.
Sculpture's already within the stone. And honestly, a fitness space.
100%.
Someone walks in and they see that, you go, huh. Because think about it, proverbially, it's true.
It is true. Yeah.
Your ideal self is within you.
Yes, it is.
And you know what your ideal self is. You know who you want to become.
Yes.
The question is, what are the things getting in the way
Yes.
that are preventing you from becoming the ideal version of yourself?
Physically, mentally, philosophically, it's like
Yeah.
be the person that you want to see 20 years down the road.
100%.
How would that person act, react? How would
Yeah.
they engage with others? It's like in trying to incorporate that today. Doesn't mean you're going to be perfect.
Yeah.
There's going to be times when you'll be like, that's really hard. And I'm going to revert back to other things that I found easier in the past. And you just have to take a breath, accept that that's what happened, and that's what the situation might have called for at the moment, and you didn't have any other tools to use. But then there's like, okay, we're going to try and go back to the little bit better toolbox we're trying to build.
Yeah, the sculpture's already in the stone. I like that.
Yeah.
That's why I like talking to smart people.
Thank you.
You learn things every day. But that's a powerful, powerful, powerful statement. 100%. And I think if men could look at that and say, okay.
Yeah.
But then teach your kids, like you said earlier, I'm doing this, but it would be really great if you could prioritize, yourself, your self-care. But the other thing we got to realize is that these kids, they see and they do.
Yes.
But we speak and they're going,
Yeah.
well, you're doing.
I see what you're doing.
Exactly.
Correct. Yes.
So, yeah. And the best, I think, form too, sometimes, we'll have, dads come in and say, when's the last time you played with your kids?
Yeah.
Just really play with your kids. Run, screaming,
Yeah. Not Mario Kart.
Not Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Right? That is the best form of physical activity. And really, when you talk about endorphins and all the feel-good stuff, it does more for you to run around and wrestle and tackle and play and chase after your kids and them chase you. It does good for them, it does good for you.
Yes.
And we talk about building society and being a pillar of your family and then your community as well. But it's those examples, I think, and I've taken that time. The best speed and agility training I tell parents is tag.
Yeah, and it's great.
It's just tag.
Yeah.
Play tag your kids, especially when they're young. Don't bring them here. Just go play tag.
Yeah.
And get a good game of tag in the community and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to add in there?
No. I mean, obviously, Pride Athletics, strongly recommend them in our community. If great coaching staff, and I view myself as a coach also in terms
absolutely.
of, working with my patients, trying to promote that. I coach cross country for Wall Lake Western, and so I have a great time, working with people, and again, helping them to develop and helping kind of create some of those mindsets. So.
Yeah, and I think I love about you guys, I know, is just your willingness to reach out, and I would love to call it the Chamber of Wellness, in this space where, we know where we stand in that, progression of a patient's recovery.
Yes.
And then just referring people to good people.
Yes.
But then also understand that culture, that coaching culture.
Yes.
Is what we love a lot about you guys. It's like you're educating people. You're there for the person, and they're not dependent on your services. They're independent thinkers.
Yes.
And who happen to use your services, but the the priority you place on educating and then getting someone back to their ideal self quicker and more efficiently is pretty cool. So we appreciate that.
It's trying to give them the tools.
Yeah.
Because if you go to somebody, to use their tools all the time, you're dependent on them.
Yeah.
If somebody teaches you how to use the tools yourself, you're free.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean, it's like, hey, I can't figure this problem out.
Yeah.
Go in, figure it out together, build a new, better tool set, and, release you back into the wild.
Yeah, and I think we always say, our best feat is when people, our clients and patients, don't necessarily need us anymore.
Yes,
exactly. And I think a lot of companies, especially in the wellness space, physical training or
chiropractic,
they see an educated patient as, oh man, that's revenue leaving.
Yep.
But the reality is people know more people.
Yep.
People feel great. They recommend great services.
Yep.
And the other piece of that is, you kind of grow this ability for people in a community to really manage their own self-care.
Yep.
And in a proactive sense, we then can help more people because we're not inundated with a lot of sick people.
Yes.
So there's the revenue there to be had. There's opportunities to grow, but the best opportunity for growth for a community is having a healthy population. If we can manage, communities of healthy people versus
educated population.
Yeah, that's like the place I want to be, and I know that you guys want to be too.
Yeah.
And I think, when it comes to men's health, there's a lot of mental health struggles, adversity pieces that we're going through that a good solid weight lift into it like session.
Yeah.
3 of those trying together, you're kind of like, whoa, man, I should have did this like ages ago.
Yeah.
It takes the weight of the burdens off of you.
Right. And again, sometimes when people get stressed out, even one thing they'll say, were you stressed out while you're working in the gym? Yes. Add more weight. Because it's going to get, everything else kind of fades to the side when you have to focus on lifting the heavy weight or I do jiu-jitsu. And so it's like, when somebody's on top of you, you can't be thinking about something else. You got to be focused on the situation
100%.
At hand.
Yeah.
Everything else fades away.
100%.
And again, I guess one of the other things I was thinking about with regards to the cubicle situation is lack of resolution.
Yeah.
You never resolve it. It's like, whereas you go to the gym, you resolve the workout. You're in a jiu-jitsu, you resolve, the match. And having that kind of beginning, middle, and completion is huge for mental health.
And it's funny you say that, and it's not a dig at ladies.
No, I got you.
But men need resolution.
They do, 100%.
For our mental well-being.
Yes.
Because we always wonder, in the back of our mind,
Yep.
well, could it have been differently? And we always challenge our assumptions.
Yep.
And we always go back to the precipice, that fork in the road, and go, man, if I did this way, it could have turned out better, right? Going back to that heroic effort. We want to save something, you know? And whether you're playing a hero in your mind or you're out doing heroic things, you always go back and kind of judge your work and try to look for best practices to get best results. And if there isn't that resolution, you're kind of you're not, I don't think you can fulfill your purpose as a man when you don't have resolution. Some call it affirmation, or value. If you don't see how you give value.